So it's just a little while after the Oscars have concluded. My name is Omar Moore, and it's good to be here talking to you. Thank you for watching. I think the Oscars this year were better than they were last. I thought the Oscars moved better this year. Now there were some moments I didn't like, and I'll talk about those in a few minutes' time. But I thought in general the Oscars had better quality moments this year than they did last. I thought the speeches were really heartfelt this year, very genuine. I thought the moments were genuine, much more so this year than last. I thought that the reactions, whether people won or whether they didn't, were really from the heart. I think of Angela Bassett's reaction tonight. I thought that was really open and honest about how she felt about not winning that Oscar that I think she richly deserved for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. She's been in the business almost as long as Jamie Lee Curtis has. And, you know, she did not get the Oscar. I mean, Angela Bassett's been in the business since I think, early 1980s. Jamie Lee Curtis since the late 1970s or mid 1970s. So, I mean, they've been comparable in the length of time. But the fact of the matter is, Jamie Lee Curtis has a lineage of family that have, I don't think ever won Oscars. Tony Curtis, I don't remember him ever winning an Oscar. If he did, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but off the top of my head, I don't recall when he did or if he did. And she comes from a filmmaking family, and with the Oscars and a very white institution like the Academy, um, you've got a very white membership in the Academy still, and that's going to carry weight with them. They're going to pick someone like this instead of Angela Bassett, a black woman who has paid her dues in the industry, has been excellent in the industry, is a really good person in the industry. And I'm not saying that Jamie Lee Curtis is not, but what I am saying is that um, the name Curtis carries some weight, and it goes a long way with a lot of these older white voters in the Academy, especially these older white men. They are going to vote for Jamie Lee Curtis. That's just going to happen. I don't like it, and there's a load of people who don't like it, and then there's loads of people who do like it that Jamie Lee Curtis won. I don't really have a view on Jamie Lee Curtis personally. You know, she's I think she's a decent person. I just think that Angela Bassett also was a decent person. I think Angela Bassett should have won for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. She was tremendous in that film. And for me, she was the anchor of that film. I know that obviously um, there were other performers in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but for me, Angela Bassett was an anchor in that film. And of course, when she leaves that film, her character leaves that film, the film's still good. It just doesn't have that same anchor to the movie. And so I thought that Angela Bassett brought a lot of gravitas, a really good performance there. Hey, the Academy didn't agree with me. So that was one thing, one of the moments that I thought was very genuine. The reaction. Also thought that genuine. There was a genuineness about several speeches. I thought Michelle Yeoh's speech was really heartfelt. I particularly enjoyed listening to what Ke Kwan had to say when he won. Um, I thought his speech was the best of the night. Really heartfelt, genuine, moving. I also like what Brendan Fraser had to say tonight. I thought he was terrific, and the Daniels too. I thought, and they came up to the stage many times tonight. I thought they were very good. Even though their speeches were clearly unscripted, it was the spontaneity of what they had to say that I thought was really good, stream of conscious, just like the movie itself, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was the big winner tonight. As right behind it was All Quiet on the Western Front, that won, I think, 4 Oscars. I think Everything Everywhere won 6 or 7 at my count. I'm not quite 100% sure, but there really weren't that many surprises in Oscar night. If you were looking for a surprise tonight at the Oscars, you really didn't find it. It was widely expected that Brendan Fraser would win. It was widely expected that Michelle Yeoh would win. It was widely expected that Ke Kwan would win. It was widely expected that Jamie Lee Curtis was going to win as well. I mean, it was pretty much pro forma for those major awards. And director, we knew that it would be the Daniels, and we knew Best Picture would be Everything Everywhere All at Once. So, this was not a surprise year. It was rather anticlimactic, actually. Um, the best song pick, I didn't expect best song to be Natu Natu from RRR. I mean, it was a good song, very catchy, the kind of thing that the Academy likes. I should have known better, but I thought it was going to be Lift Me Up by Rihanna. I thought Rihanna was absolutely sensational, and she performed as well tonight. Um, More people probably watched this performance than the better one at the Super Bowl, but they're two different performances and two different songs and different materials being difference between them. Um, but I thought "Lift Me Up" was such a moving and beautiful tune, and always I get goosebumps when I listen to it. And I was expecting Rihanna to win, and it wasn't to be. So, again, disappointed there. But Ruth Carter won. She was the only black winner at tonight's Oscars. She won for costume design, and she has become the only black woman ever to win more than one Oscar, ever to win two Oscars. I mean, in 95 years. I mean, this shames the Academy. It's just embarrassing. It's more than that. It's a disgrace. You know, that you've only ever had one black woman in 95 years of Oscars be selected by the Academy as an Oscar winner twice. Well, that's just disgraceful. And Michelle Yeoh, who won tonight, as I mentioned earlier, in the Best Actress category for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I mean, yes, she is the first Asian person to win a leading actor Oscar, and that's a really good thing. But when you really look at it, it's the first time in 95 years that the Academy has decided to select an Asian person in the leading acting Oscar. I mean, that's appalling. 95 years, you've only had one time. And I think if you start to think about it that way, it's an appalling thing by the Academy. Now, I'm glad that they have chosen Michelle Yeoh. I'm just saying that you have to look at this, I think, from an institutional standpoint rather than, oh, she's the first. Just look at the institution that after 95 years previously had never, ever in the previous 94 years ever said, this is a person we should give the Oscar to. We should vote for Michelle Yeoh. We should vote for another Asian actor to be the lead actor winner at the Oscars. I mean, 94 years of not doing that. It kind of is a real, it is not kind of, it is a real indictment on the Academy, and they're indicting themselves. But I have to say, again, all in all, I think the opening monologue by Jimmy Kimmel was terrific. I think he kind of waned a little bit as the night went on, but I don't think he did himself that much harm. But I would like to see someone different host the Oscars next year. I would actually propose one name to you, Janelle Monáe. That's right, Janelle Monáe. I'd like to see Janelle Monáe host these Oscars next year. Why not? I think she'd bring a lot to it. And she has the capability of doing the skits. I mean, I don't like the skits at the Oscars. I don't like some of that, all the gimmicky stuff. But I think that whether they do gimmicky or not at the Oscars, I think Janelle Monáe would be the perfect Oscar host. I absolutely think she would be excellent at it. And it's about time we had a change. We had a number of things lately that didn't work. I wish Jimmy Kimmel didn't go on and on about what happened last year. That was a waste of time. One time, okay, we got it. We get it. And, the Academy made it very clear to everyone that there were going to be new rules and guidelines about this after what happened last year. And if you wanted to get as far away from last year as possible, as the Academy obviously wanted to do, because it took a hit last year for its pathetic response to what happened. If you wanted to get as far away from that moment last year as possible, then why was your host repeatedly referring to it? It doesn't make any sense. There was no reason for Jimmy Kimmel to keep repeating over and over and over the fact that last year happened. We get it. And then at the very end of the telecast, he goes over off stage and changes the number on the board that says number of Oscars without a violent incident or something, and he puts the number one there. And it's like, okay, we get it. We get the idea. We understand. You don't have to keep referring to it. It is really passe. And it actually hides the fact or barely papers over the fact that you don't have enough material, because your routine's pretty thin if you continue to refer to something that happened a year ago plus. Your routine is pretty darn thin at that point. But Jimmy Kimmel, he kept repeating that over and over. And there are a couple other people who did as well. And I'm thinking, man, you guys aren't going to let this go, are you? Will Smith's been banned from the Academy for 10 years. And, I advocated that he get I was initially saying he should get a lifetime ban. So, but and I spoke about this ad infinitum last year, and okay, it happened and he was wrong. Let's move on now. Let's move on to what is going on now. Um, he's serving his punishment. Why keep going on about this stuff? And again, as I said, you wanted it as an academy to get as far away from last year as possible, and to keep reminding everybody of it over and over and over again this year shows that you're a materialist then, and also shows that you really wanted to kick these people while they're down. Will Smith's paying his penance, as he should, for what he did. He was wrong to do what he did. He shouldn't have done it. I condemned him a year ago when it happened. He shouldn't have done it. And Chris Rock should have kept away from talking nonsense and insulting a black woman. He should have left that alone. That is not the smart thing to do in front of an audience of 1 billion people, is to insult black women or to make fun of them or to mock their health condition. That is not good. It's not smart. It's distasteful. And so, yeah, Chris Rock, shouldn't have done that either. He shouldn't have got slapped. But again, as I say, and not even a but. I'm simply saying that I just think you should just leave last year where it was, and let's move on to what's going on this year. And I thought, again, the speeches were good, heartfelt, sincere moments. I talked about Angela Bassett's reaction earlier. Ke Kwan's speech was really good. Michelle Yeoh's speech was really good. Brendan Fraser, really good. And the Daniels were very spontaneous in their speeches, very stream of consciousness like for them, and it felt like from them. And I think it is kind of reflective of the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. And again, no surprises tonight. Very anticlimactic awards for the most part. And people talked about the commercialization with the Disney stuff and Little Mermaid. First of all, Disney ABC host the Oscars. The ABC is owned by Disney. And again, I'm not excusing anything. I'm just explaining that that's the situation. And yeah, I may not have liked the commercialism either, with the trailer showing during the Oscars and bridging it to a commercial break. I'm not a fan of that, but I was not. I mean, there are some people online that were really upset. And then I got to thinking, the Oscars is all about commercialization. Hollywood itself is all about commercialization. The winners of these Oscars is all about pumping money into an industry, into the film industry, and marketing the winners so that they can make more money in the next projects that they're going to be put out there. It's all about money. And people were acting as if money is never a part of the Oscars, never has been. Of course, it's been a part of the Oscars for a long damn time. I'm not excusing or justifying the trailer for The Little Mermaid, which I'm looking forward to watching the film for, coming up later this year. But my goodness, I mean, the trade publications are awash in money from film studios paying to advertise a for your consideration spot. The internet, same thing. Their websites, for your consideration spots, they're paid for. I mean, that's connected to the Academy. They want Academy members to vote. So all of this stuff is commercialized. It's all about money making. And this idea now, oh my gosh, I'm so upset that The Little Mermaid is a trailer. I mean, again, as trashy as putting a trailer in during the broadcast is, my gosh, this is commercialism. I'm not a fan of it, but my goodness me, the whole industry of Hollywood is all about that. So anyway, I didn't really understand why people were that upset about it, some people. But anyway, it's not a good look. I mean, I'll say this, and I will agree with those people who were really pissed off about this. It is not a good look to do stuff like this. It's not. I didn't like the Warner Brothers 100-year anniversary. We could have left that alone too. Those are the kinds of things that pulled down the ceremony this year. Otherwise, it was generally good. Otherwise, I thought there were good moments. I thought Natu winning Best Original Song. I would have loved it to be Rihanna for Lift Me Up, which I absolutely adore that song. But it wasn't to be. So, hey, that's what happens at these things. Only one black winner this year, Ruth Carter, the second straight year that she's won. I think I mentioned that earlier. The second straight time she's won the second time she's ever won an Oscar. I think I mentioned that earlier. But there's some good moments. There were some good moments. The big winner, of course, Everything Everywhere All at Once, followed by All Quiet on the Western Front. Documentary feature went to Navalny. I'm not totally surprised by that because, hey, what's going on in Ukraine, the invasion of Ukraine, the illegal invasion by an evil human being named Vladimir Putin. So I'm hardly surprised at that. I was expecting Fire of Love by Sarah Dosa, San Francisco's own Sarah Dosa. but that did not quite happen. So, that's basically the story here with the Academy Awards. No harm, no foul. I want to see Janelle Monáe next year host these things. Let's get that done.